Cleopatra VII, the enigmatic last pharaoh of Egypt, wasn't just a ruler. She embodied intelligence, allure, wealth, and ambition. But those closest to her were often met with tragedy. Cleopatra's life was marked by political intrigue, power struggles, and alliances with Rome, including two major love affairs with the most powerful men in the ancient world, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Yet both men met with tragic ends. And her siblings? They did not fare much better. One drowned, one poisoned, and one publicly paraded before meeting a grim fate. This begs the question, was there some ancient force that shaped the Queen of Egypt's destiny, or was Cleopatra cursed? Join us as we dig into the past and fast forward through the history of Cleopatra VII. You will not want to miss the stunning revelations behind the Queen of Egypt's enticing alliances and spiteful end. Cleopatra VII was a member of the Ptolemaic dynasty that ruled since the time of Alexander the Great. Her family's claim to the throne was often contested, leading to fierce power struggles, even within the dynasty itself. When she turned 18, Cleopatra became Queen of Egypt, but her birthright was not guaranteed. Following tradition, the new queen was bound to marry and co-rule with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. It didn't take long for them to fall into a feud. As her popularity and influence grew, Ptolemy became noticeably jealous. Encouraged by his advisors, the preteen asserted his powers, and Cleopatra was driven out of Egypt. She was forced to flee to Syria. The civil war was just beginning. In the summer of 48 BC, Cleopatra found herself in a precarious position. A recent clash with her brother's army had failed, and her throne remained out of reach. She needed an ally who could provide the strategic support necessary for her pursuit. She found that ally in one of the greatest Roman generals in history, Julius Caesar. Caesar was a formidable figure in ancient Rome, a military genius, masterful technician, and skilled politician, exuding an aura of authority and power that few could match. He had traveled to Alexandria to broker peace between the rival siblings. Desperate to secure Rome's support, the 21-year-old Cleopatra devised a daring plan to meet with the handsome general within the walls of the royal palace. A carpet was snuck past Caesar's guards. Concealed within the intricately woven tapestry, adorned with precious gems, the very Queen of Egypt herself. Once in his bedchamber, the carpet unfurled before Caesar, revealing the captivating figure of Cleopatra. In a moment of tension and intrigue, the Roman leader found himself face to face with the young, enigmatic queen. She risked her kingdom on this audacious encounter, and luckily, it worked. In return for Rome's support, Caesar sought to unlock Egypt's riches for his country. So, the Roman army journeyed to Egypt's capital and settled the siblings' dispute. Cleopatra's exotic allure and intelligence left an indelible impression on Caesar. In her captivating gaze and eloquent words, he recognized not just a powerful ally, but a kindred spirit who understood the intricacies of politics and the pursuit of greatness. With Julius Caesar by her side, she defeated her brother, Ptolemy XIII, and sister, Arsinoe IV, at the Battle of Alexandria, and triumphantly reclaimed Egypt. In a twist of events, her brother met his demise by drowning in the Nile during his retreat, leaving Cleopatra to grapple with the responsibilities of co-regency alongside her younger brother, Ptolemy XIV. Arsinoe was taken captive and was paraded in Rome as a prisoner of war. Because of her young age, Caesar decided to spare her life. The legendary tale of Cleopatra delivering herself to the heart of Roman power marked a turning point in the power dynamics between Egypt and Rome. Initially a strategic maneuver for Cleopatra to secure her power, her alliance with Caesar quickly evolved into a profound personal connection between two formidable leaders. With Caesar's support, Cleopatra reclaimed and solidified her rule over Egypt. Their connection also led to the birth of their son, Caesarion, who would come to symbolize the merging of their empires. However, their union was short-lived. In 44 BC, Caesar was assassinated. With Rome no longer safe, Cleopatra and Ptolemy XIV traveled back to Egypt. And shortly after their return, Ptolemy XIV experienced a similar ill-fated end as his older brother. Some say that Cleopatra may have had a direct hand in her younger brother's tragedy, as it cleared the path for her to co-rule alongside her son, Caesarion. Even still, this did not secure her royal title. Without Caesar, Rome had plunged into civil war, and new enemies stood at the gates to lay siege to Egypt. With her throne under immediate threat, Cleopatra would find herself at the center of the most famous alliances in the history of the ancient world. It would also signify the beginning of the end of Egypt's last great pharaoh. After Caesar's demise, a towering figure emerged. Mark Antony, a battle-hardened general with a commanding presence. His lion's mane of dark, untamed hair accentuated his magnetic charm, and he skillfully navigated treacherous political waters. In 41 BC, Antony was in Tarsus, modern-day Turkey. His mission? To consolidate his power and quell civil unrest. To this end, the formidable general summoned Cleopatra to face scrutiny over her connections with Antony's enemies. For Cleopatra, the reason for her summons was the least of her concerns. Rome's power-hungry elite craved Egypt's vast wealth and resources, and while Cleopatra knew that her sister, Arsinoe IV, still posed a threat to her rule, forming an alliance with Mark Antony would help shield against Rome's encroachment and family intrigues. It didn't hurt that she was undeniably attracted to the powerful and handsome general. Cleopatra's grand entrance was a mesmerizing display of opulence and power. She arrived gliding through the waters on a magnificent golden barge, adorned with precious jewels and silken sails billowing in the wind. All eyes were drawn to the enchanting Egyptian queen. Her entourage followed, each member draped in opulent finery, adding to the aura of her majesty. The sights and sounds of the procession were a testament to her wealth and influence, leaving onlookers in awe. As she disembarked from the gilded vessel, Cleopatra was a vision of regal confidence and grace. Her allure was unparalleled, and even the battle-hardened general could not resist the enchanting woman. But Queen Cleopatra's magnetism extended far beyond her appearance. Engaging Antony in clever and stimulating conversation, the Egyptian queen showcased her intelligence and strategic acumen. She understood that true power lay not only in appearances, but also in the ability to sway hearts and minds. Antony found himself deeply enamored by Cleopatra's presence and cunning nature, and their connection grew stronger by the day. Antony stayed in Egypt, steadfastly supporting Cleopatra's claim to the Egyptian throne. He even proved his support by bringing about the fatal and very public end of Cleopatra's sister, Arsinoe. This may have been a curse of fate for yet another of Cleopatra's siblings, or it may have been a ruthless security measure that eliminated a family rival. Cleopatra's new union not only solidified her rule, but also symbolized the merging of Egyptian and Roman empires again, forging a bond that transcended borders and boundaries. Cleopatra and Antony's affection for one another was palpable. In the courts of Alexandria, they held grand banquets and lavish celebrations. They were often seen entwined in each other's arms, exchanging glances filled with both admiration and desire. Amidst the grandeur of their love, Cleopatra and Antony welcomed 3 children into their world. Having heirs for their merging empires strengthened their bond and future rule. Yet, their ostentatious displays of love caught the attention of Rome, and snide whispers of their passionate affair echoed through political corridors. The union of Cleopatra and Antony was indeed a threat to members of the Roman elite, specifically the adopted great-nephew of Caesar and fellow triumvir, Octavius. In fact, one of the important threads of peace between the Roman heads of states was Antony's marriage to Octavius' sister. But this bond was torn apart when Antony pursued a divorce. So there is little doubt that Antony's dedication to Cleopatra was a matter of public scrutiny, one that had come to tarnish the once monumental reputation of Antony. There were even accusations of him being bewitched by Cleopatra. Some senators and political rivals sought out any means to undermine Antony's authority and reputation. Tensions escalated and eventually led to a lethal confrontation. In the fateful year of 31 BC, destiny teetered on the edge for both Mark Antony and Cleopatra. Octavian's unyielding ambition to claim the mantle of Rome's emperor was nearing fruition, casting a shadow over their tumultuous affair. Amid the waters of the Ionian Sea, off the shores of western Greece, the Battle of Actium ignited. This momentous clash epitomized the culmination of years of smoldering tensions. While Octavian's strategic acumen and disciplined forces played a pivotal role, it was the intertwined fates of Antony and Cleopatra that added a tragic dimension to this maritime confrontation. Octavian's forces exhibited superior tactics, outmaneuvering their adversaries, and the engagement cleverly exploited internal rifts within Antony and Cleopatra's navy, further weakening their resolve. Despite their valiant efforts, the Battle of Actium eventually etched a resounding triumph for Octavian. The aftermath of the battle reverberated most tragically for Antony and Cleopatra. The ebbing tide of victory for Octavian heralded a turning point in the power struggle, an event that would pave the road for Octavian's ascension to the grandeur of Augustus, Rome's first emperor. Following their defeat, Antony and Cleopatra withdrew to Egypt, their fortunes plummeting. Amidst the chaos of their plight, a false rumor of Cleopatra's demise reached Antony, plunging him into despair. The unbearable thought drove this once mighty general to turn a knife upon himself. Yet, in a twist of fate, Antony's final moments held a poignant discovery. He found out that Cleopatra had survived, granting him a final encounter with the love of his life. With Antony now gone, Cleopatra's fate was sealed. Determined to resist the humiliation of being captured and put on display as a prize of war in Rome, the Queen of Egypt resolved to defy the indignity. According to legend, Cleopatra chose to embrace the deadly kiss of an asp, her life's final chapter soaked into the sands of Egypt's history. Cleopatra VII left in her wake a trail of destinies, intertwined with both tragedy and triumph. However, these misfortunes are more likely the natural consequences of power politics. It was a game played at the highest levels, and losing meant paying the ultimate price. Cleopatra could never be accused of yielding to fate, and led a life on her own terms, even at the very end. While her self-confidence and audacity may be at the heart of her appeal, perhaps these strengths were also a curse, haunting herself and those around her. Still, in the enduring enigma of Cleopatra's legacy, would we have wanted her story to unfold in any other way?